to embark on a pivotal discussion that will help shape the future of OH media. Our first panel, titled The Green Shift, Redefining Classic OH Practices. This insightful discussion will be moderated by our Mandy, also known as Mandakini Negi, co-founder of Moving Walls Group. Joining her are some of the brightest minds in the industry. First, we have Claudian Navin, president of the Malaysian Advertiser Association. Next, let's welcome Stanley Clement, CEO of Media Brands Content Studio. We also have Marish, president of OAM and CEO of Redberry. And finally, we are honored to have Omar Shahri, the vice president of the International Advertising Association. Please join me in giving a warm welcome of applause as we welcome our panelists.
Find him. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you, everyone, for being here. I know it's a Friday afternoon, especially to our panelists and everybody here. Thank you for making it. Let's hope that it's going to be a good Friday afternoon and we can make it more interesting with a conversation. I wanted to start, so we've done a lot of, Srikanth gave a very good analysis of what we are doing, and I think ASB students have anyway given a presentation that the topic today is all about sustainability. We've already had a panel discussion before the discussion started. We had a roundtable conference, and the whole analysis is that we've exhausted with our thoughts and ideas. But I think, as well stated by Victor, this is definitely not a trend. It is here to stay, so let's discuss. I want to start this afternoon with, I don't know if Manuela Wall. I wanted to introduce Manuela Wall, who's a co-founder of a company called GrowBag in South Africa. She's also a wife of one of the leading media owners, Tractor Media, Simon Wall's wife. And my visit to South Africa, I managed to meet her, and I saw what she was doing in her own way towards sustainability. And I did request her to share a short video on what her initiative is all about. So if you guys and gentlemen allow me, can we start the discussion with that short video? We'll all have to turn our backs towards the other side now, but guys, can we have that video?
Good day, everyone. My name is Manuela, and I'm the founder of GrowBag Upcycled. I'd like to say thank you to Moving Walls for including us in their Sustainable Out-of-Home Media initiative. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend the event. However, I'd like to share from my experience working with billboards for over 10 years here in Cape Town, South Africa. We recycle billboards into planter bags, which are then donated to underprivileged gardening communities. With this, our aim is to give people an opportunity to grow plants out of something that is waste, feed their families, and we support a local NGO, which is called Soil for Life. And so with every donation, we try to make a difference. We try to inspire people and show them what is actually possible. The challenge here is, however, to make the advertisers responsible for their own waste. So it should be part of every company's budget to recycle their billboards after the campaign is over. We work with many brands over the years, but it's not nearly enough. And so the more people support initiatives like these, and the more events like these are put together, the better for future generations and for the environment. So thank you for doing your part. Good day, everyone. My name is Manuela, and I'm the founder of 𝐿 Upcycled.
Technology does have its challenges at times.
Good day, everyone. Initiatives and for the environment. So thank you for doing your part.
No one thinks much about a billboard while it's up or where it goes once it's taken down. All those big sheets get actually thrown away. And so I came up with the idea of making planters out of them, just really creating life out of a material that is dead. My creativity in South Africa of what they do with waste, with bottle tops and all kinds of things actually was an inspiration for me to pursue my idea and really go with it and make it happen. As a way of giving back, I donate planter bags to gardening communities around Cape Town. I think it's really important that we all do our parts in any way that we can. If I can support the community with it, if I can donate, if I can motivate people, make people aware of the things that we're doing, that's good enough for me.
We can share, Marish. Yeah. Collaborate and share. I think that's the thing. Sustainability. Yes. In any case, I'm not going to repeat. I think it's been, we all are in the same industry of how important out-of-home advertising is. Like measurement, now sustainability is also coming into discussion. What we would like to take away from this panel and this conversation we'll have is it just a phenomena that has come in now, or has it been existing for long and has just become the new disco ball that's come into the highlight of discussions for campaigns? Like Srikanth said, that it is not revenue generating yet, but probably 4.0 or 5.0 might be. The way we've seen the cycle of
He's already shaking his head.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got Sunny here for a reason, as a brand, Naveen here for a reason also, to give a point of view. But what I'm trying to say is that we all have our experiences, and let's do it a rogue session. There's a whole lot of preparation that went in, but let's have a conversation starting from all of you. We have established the fact that out-of-home is in the face of an advertiser. It's there in the face. It's there in the open. Out-of-home media owners have very clearly from the ASB presentation said they're not going to do anything till it comes down from the brands as an initiative also. Because like I'm going to be very cliched in saying, I went for lunch which was organic and vegan. While it was very fancy for me to say it's organic and vegan, but I didn't want to pay extra dollars for it. I wanted it to still cost 10 ringgit and not pay 50 ringgit. So is it a fancy word to stay? Or is it a word that we really need to seriously focus on some practices collectively as organization, industry organizations, individual stakeholders as brands, media owners, and agencies, tech companies, so that we can leave a sustainable planet. I know we are selfish by the end of it, we are all humans, but we do have a next generation which is also sitting in this room that we owe something to, right? So I'd like to start with any one of you, but we can begin with the most esteemed guest, Omar. I know, so if you can just see what you've seen in your various stages in your career, you've seen the word sustainable being defined and redefined in multiple roles. So would you want to just walk through the definition of sustainability in out-of-home today, from before and today?
Well, I don't think this is like some kind of something that happened overnight. And it's very much an evolution. The challenge, I think, is that we use the word sustainability very, very loosely. Like Srikanth said, actually, it's very hard to define sustainability. If you ask me, am I an expert even on the topic, I would say no. Because if you look at the United Nations website alone, there are 17 SDGs. And today we're only talking about climate change. That is SDG number 13. So if coming back to your question, whether there is been really a very well-defined, a very well-organized changes that's happening, I would say no. Because the nature of our business, I think, is about how do I put food on the table? How do I bring profit first? So today, I think, before even we talk about climate change or sustainability, I would like just to give some perspective in terms of just on climate change alone. Don't even talk about sustainability, such a big word. But just on climate change, we are supposed to lower our carbon emission by 45% by 2030. That's 6 years from now. It's already what, 2024 now? And we're supposed to have net zero emission by 2050. Guys, we're living in trying times. We need to have major transformation in terms of how we produce, how we consume, and how we move around. How many of us burn fossil fuel just to come here? So are we really walking the talk? And bearing in mind, we always think that this is the role of ad agencies, role of outdoor media owners, role of government when it comes to climate change. But the fact is that who made up of government? Who made up of businesses? They are made of individuals like us, meaning that ultimately the responsibility lies on our shoulders. What we do today is going to impact our children and our children's children. So I would just leave it there for now, unless you can allow me for another minute, I can talk a little bit more. Otherwise, I will give it back to you.
No, you can. Omar, you know that is it, right? But yeah, I mean, you said it right. In the end, it is all about putting the food on the table. It is also about profits. So, Maresh, as I'm going to put you in a spot as president of OAM, not just the group CEO of Redberry, right? President of OAM, which is an industry initiative. I know you all are taking initiatives in multiple ways because I think collectively we will all agree that all of us, whether you're a brand, whether you're an agency or a tech company or a media owner, the collective goal of each one of us is to make sure that out of home wins in the end, right? We are competing with other media and it should be they should be the winner. The media, the landscape should be the win. So what is it as an initiative? We've established, yes, we need, like Omar just mentioned, we need carbon net zero. We owe it a greener planet. It is a fancy word to talk, but yes, there is a seriousness to it. What is it as an initiative would the industry OM do to ensure that brands, MA and agencies, MSAs that are present here, agencies can go back and say, yes, we do have a landscape and the media owners that are technically ready in terms of infrastructure, in terms of sustainable solutions to push this initiative.
Okay.
As an industry, not as group CEO.
Okay, before I get into that, I really admire Moving Walls because they are always ahead of time, right? Like measurement, they came to me a few years back talking about measurement, and only now we have slowly crawled into measurement. Then sustainability is another big topic. We are all confused. What is sustainability? What is zero carbon? People are still in a very confused state. They have already started. 1.0, 2.0 also started already. So they are really moving fast. It's a bit difficult for me to catch up with them. Now, coming back to the industry. Sustainability, as I said, is a very big topic. Knowingly or unknowingly, we do a lot of things, not realizing what we are doing. But for the out-of-home industry, unknowingly, the billboards, we are upgrading it to digital, right? So when we go into digital, that itself, it's a form of sustainability because now we are going to print less on vinyl. So that is a saving. And also, again, because technology is moving so fast, even in digital, we have got LED digital billboards. That itself has got different level of sustainability as in power consumption. The older versions, if you look, we have to put aircons to cool them down. There's a lot of aircon cooling mechanism. So now you don't see that anymore. It's getting slimmer, more nicer, and things like that. Electricity is saved in that. So that itself contributes into some savings of sustainability. And then now the newer technologies has gone even better efficiency in power consumption, heat distribution. It's lesser distributing heat. All these are actually unknowingly contributing, right? For media owners, sometimes we invest. Of course, we can't invest immediately when new technology comes in, but after 4 or 5 years, we have to upgrade our system. So automatically, it's actually falling into that. As for the static part of it, again, I think some people have to start. I can't say much for the other media owners, because if they are a small player, it's always looking at the bottom dollar sign. So they are also looking at that. But for big corporates, like for Redberry, because we are governed by a public listed company, we actually comply to CSR, and we are forced into complying to this sustainability. So we are actually working towards that, looking at biodegradable material to print and all those things. So I think somebody has to start, and eventually others will follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Arif is here representing Stephanie, but I think we did see one post from Big Tree that did it. We just need to, we've got a lot of ideas, which we will, after this session, come back. But coming back to where we can create, you see, something that was put in was, I think somebody just mentioned that sustainability should not be just in terms of greenwashing, right? That was what was said. There are certain, yes, I don't think we are talking as moving walls. Thank you for acknowledging we are too ahead. Sometimes I wish we were not. Our jobs would be easier, but never mind. The idea is we are not just doing greenwashing. There are certain very good ideas that we have but we need takers for it, right? Creative agencies come up with such brilliant creatives for that static, but I was very surprised when I did a little bit of our homework when we were coming up with the CSR project, that the vinyls today are not being recycled at all. They're going into a printing house and being dumped, completely dumped. Now, while the brands, now I'm coming to you, Naveen, I know there is and I'm going to cite your report that had been put in, a Harvard Business report, which said, few consumers who report positive attitudes towards eco-friendly products and services follow through with their wallets. I think it's very clear. Everybody wants it, like measurement. I'll be very honest. You just mentioned everybody wants measurement, but the big elephant in the room is who's going to pay for it, right? The same thing in sustainability. Yes, the brands have pledged eco-friendly by 2030, but are they ready to pay for it? And that's when creative agencies can create a creative that can be put on an outdoor billboard which talks directly to a consumer and builds the credibility of that brand.
Everyone wants to save the planet. As long as somebody else is paying the bill. That's a given, right? Now, I think when you look at brands, right, there are different maturity levels within them, different priority levels within them. Now, especially when it comes to sustainability, there are two parts of the equation. One is the brand's own policies. Now, if their policies are based on being sustainable because it is something that they see in other territories where they serve, likelihood is that is going to translate to whichever territory they go into. This is irrespective of the local scenario and local sentiments or whatever it is. Now, the second scenario would be just to toe the line because there's a regulatory scenario where you have to comply, a compliance scenario. Of course, there's always the third, jump on the bandwagon, slap everything green and call it eco, and have that a prefix behind it, and and chop a whole bunch of trees. That's another way to go. Of course, with the current scenario and the current sentiments and the way public is today, you're not going to be called out. You're going to be probably militantly taken out, right? So it is a scenario where today it is about, I would say, being sincere in your efforts, okay? But in the sustainability scenario, you have different players. We've got a scenario here with 40% of our GDP coming from SMEs. You cannot expect them to pay the same price of a multinational is willing to pay just to get into the game, especially when it comes to a compliance scenario. So they will toe the line. They will do what they can afford to do, right? Take it back to a consumer scenario, right? A consumer would love to be eco-friendly, select eco-choices. Can he afford it? When he can't afford to put food on the table, pay his rent, is the planet going to be a priority? Obviously not, right? So there will be different maturity levels, different situations, right? Now it's a Friday, it's gloomy. I heard a media owner say something. Now, what is the most eco-friendly system for OOH, for an advertiser? Anyone? Ranga, you were there. Most eco-friendly situation for an OOH, usage by advertiser. Don't use. Don't use.
What? Don't use?
Don't use.
Why?
So I challenge the media owner, okay, since you want us to pay the bill, we don't use. We go for a different option. Now,
No,
I'll give you an
no,
example.
So
Now, it's Friday, right? So I ruffle feathers first. Ruffle
Mandy's,
feathers first.
calm down, Mandy.
Okay, so
No.
now, if you go back to who used the out-of-home meat materials before, right? I think it was Emirates who took the vinyls and turned into shopping bags or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, why? Because by default, as a brand, okay, that brand itself has a huge carbon footprint, right? So they have to, by no choice, either if they want to operate, they have to do something because they are emitting. So by default, the nature of their thinking is, how do we mitigate everything, right? So in every use that they came up with, they mitigated, which is why post-campaign, they decided, okay, we're actually using, there's additional carbon footprint over here, how do we mitigate? So brands will look at it that way, right? Now, choices in terms of media platforms should not be dictated onto the brand, okay? How we utilize it and how we turn it around to be more eco-friendly, that's a different scenario. That's our own internal process. Then we turn to Stanley to do that, okay?
But then do you have...
No, hang on,
Yeah.
not finished yet. So, the very fact that the site is there, with or without an advertiser, should it not be green already? It should be. So, to mitigate circumstances, you could always have, water harvesting scenarios, and then irrigate the plants around the area. Wind, use solar panels, not just to power your this thing, but to power a few street lights. That automatically, by default, of just being there, you're doing something irrespective of what campaign is running on. So the campaign doesn't have to be green, you're already green. Then for an advertiser, our decision is side A, not so green, side B has a good green footprint. Now, if we enhance it further by whatever campaign we want to do, fine. And there are a whole bunch of other ideas, and Stanley can come up with that.
Yeah. No, but this is just a point. Stanley, one minute. Stanley, 1 minute. I mean, but just to say that, right? So do you as a industry have standards to then say, right? You just can't say that, okay, site A or site B. I think that's the discussion we are saying, right? Because while he's ready, I'll tell you honestly, I got a call from a media owner in Ipoh to say, look, I want to sell my site, a digital site, and it's a great site. It's given us a lot of business, but we've chopped down 5 trees to make sure the brand can be seen, the screen can be seen, everything. And I'm thinking, who's asking those questions? Is the advertiser asking? When an ad goes up, did the advertiser or an MAA put some sort of clauses to say how many trees were chopped up so that the site could be seen? Because those
In
things
today's
don't come
world-
up.
So I actually want to jump in.
Yeah.
I actually want to
Jump in now.
jump
You
in
can.
on that, right? So it is within this space, and it's because right now it's so regulated. Actually, my hero in regards to sustainability was Captain Planet. I can still sing it on Captain Planet. He's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to 0.
Wow.
Right?
I
But
think we need
so it's not new. It's not new, right? We used to have Surat Kaaba Lama. The truck come out and pick up the papers, right? When we used to collect milk outside our house, it was in bottles, right? We recycled those bottles. So this is not new. This is for me also to a certain extent, right? Okay, fine, now it's becoming more regulated and everybody suddenly has an open woke mind that, okay, I've got to save the planet, right? But exactly to his point, and we spoke about it just now, right? For all of us who researched to come here, the number of hours that we watched YouTube to find out exactly what we're doing, and I went through ChatGPT, through powered down on ChatGPT, the amount of hours that I burned, and then I'm going to say, oh yeah, I'm advertising on this sustainable
Media.
media touch point, right? Am I not greenwashing it myself? And that is also to the point, right? When you ask that question, when you say that who's asking this question, I think that's a question that we also have to ask ourselves, right? Today, as an advertiser, okay, you can say that, fine, I'm going to go and put up on this particular touch points and whatnot, and they are going to give me that green, the feeling that I'm going green, right? But the content that I'm doing is actually going to burn up so much more in order just to contra back and achieve this bit, right? I'm not saying that we are not finding opportunities. Today, production houses also have gone into virtual production systems just so that we can reduce certain carbon footprints and whatnot, right? But even in those virtual bit and the way generative AI is now taking over the entire planet, right? The amount of usage there is extremely high. So which side of the fence are we actually looking at? I think that's a core question we have to really ask. Now, why I'm also talking about this is because from my line of feel, it doesn't matter if it's just a touch point. We have to kind of look at almost everything. And I have to take it down to, I'm a very simple-minded person, because for us, when we are looking at what I'm communicating, right, is how can I excite you the best? Or in the best way to excite you. In that excitement, I'm really trying to change your behavior. And to that point as well, you brought it up very, very clearly just now. I've gone to what? Organic.
Oh, vegan, organic.
Vegan, organic, whatever. And how much did it cost you? 50 ringgit, right?
Yes.
Today, electric vehicles is such a big thing.
Yeah.
How many of you know how long does it take to charge your electric vehicle with using your
Overnight.
normal plug at home?
Oh.
18, 19 hours, right? I think the fastest you can get is about 9, 10 hours or so. Do you know how much it costs to buy that one unit that is going to charge your car over?
And
yeah, depending on the car, right? I think it ranges between 48,000. Now, how many electrical charging centers are there in the country?
We have EVV new chargers, about.
Yeah. So how long does it take? You say I go and land in Petronas, I charge my car. How long does it take for me to? So I'm driving to Penang. I decide to take my entire family, drive to Penang, and my car is out of charge. So which is how long roughly? Sorry? To get that certain amount, to get to 80%. Yeah.
Are you driving a Tesla, Bala?
That's why I tell you, he also burned through. We all burned through, right? No, the reason why I'm saying, look, I'm not saying that it is such an inconvenience, right?
No,
but
please
it is
say
still.
it. That's the reason you're here.
But it is still an inconvenience because for someone who's going to go to the petrol station, there are eight or 10 sometimes outlets, right? For you to just park your car, within 5 minutes you pump and then you're out.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And you can continue your journey. But the fact that I have to wait, and depending on how many charging stations there are, it is also going to disrupt my bit. And that's the part that I'm also wanting to come back to. Again, I'm not negating the fact that, actually I think we are not negating the fact that sustainability is important, right? I think we also have to bring it down to a very real situation in regards to how it changes people's lives. Today, I mean, just now somebody, I think you were talking about aircons who have now even gone down to newer models. But all of this come with a cost. Am I willing to part with that cost becomes a big question. But while we were also doing some research, actually we pitched to a client recently, right, on how you can, apparently, all your digital mobile phones actually can become solar panels, apparently.
Really?
Apparently, right? So we pitched to the clients to say that why don't you use bus stops, right? Create solar panels, create these phones on these bus stops, turn those bus stops into a sustainable space whereby that bit, again, obviously creative fellas, we are not smart. So from a scientific point of view, we didn't calculate how much our power or whatever that takes, right? But you could power the bus stop, and imagine that if an organization, a company that's right in front of that bus stop decides to adopt that. Now imagine if there are 10 bus stops like that. You're basically then lighting, which is exactly what Navin is saying, right? That's the bit. But to make that change, how many of us are willing to move the needle in that sense? We also found out recently that apparently Klang will be underwater by 2050. or certain part of Klang will be underwater by 2050, right? But that's also the reality. Today, I know you're saying about 2030 and 2060, 2050. Most of us cannot reconcile that fact of what is there to where I am now and how what I'm doing today is going to make that change.
Because we're selfish in the end, right? We're only looking at how it impacts us right now.
But that's
Because
also
if you go back to even Srikanth Singh, he said it's no profit now. I'm thinking we're looking at changing the world. Shouldn't be about profit now.
but that's the point, right? We should be thinking about how it impacts me
We
now,
should be.
and that is also for me the biggest problem with ESG and sustainability, because it cannot be translated to a simple human, to a simple person to understand what it means, what are the effects, and what I can do today, and how I can see that change being affected, right?
Perfect. So I'm just going to ask one question, because this also reminds me a couple of, I think in one of the MSA conferences a couple of years ago, or no, it was done by probably MDA. They had called a professor from Taylor University or Sunway University who had given a very good psychoanalysis on youth. And I think if there are young people here, but in any case, ASB students, anyone can say. One of the takeaways that I remembered, usually I don't remember because I have a very bad memory. The only thing, a very efficient brain. I only remember what I need to remember. But one thing that I took away was that Gen Z, that's today, wants to only buy products that have some ESG or CSR related advertising. For example, they would want to check on, I don't remember the exact thing, but it was a very nice presentation. Yeah, there's
Where they
no
attach
child
themselves to
labor done.
social causes, right?
Yeah,
As long
child
as
labor
that,
done. No trees, cut down for that. Recycled product, whatever. And anyway, the money that's being paid for the Gen Z product is by the parents, which is Gen X and Gen Y. So it's for us who have to think about it. How do we all, and I'm going to address this commonly for this, because that's the generation that's going to, that's the one that you're advertising to. So I'll start with you, Stanley, and then I'll come back this way and say, how do you think of communicating that? Like if all brands want it, let's say you don't have that advertising space. The media owners have not put in the infrastructure because there is no industry standard in saying this is what they want. Everybody is doing whatever. Let's say China says this is an LED which is efficient because it is solar panel charged or solar charged. We'll accept it, right? Or the trees that were cut here were planted 10 feet away. We'll accept it. But as a creative agency, how are you putting it in that communication for a brand? Let's take sneakers for that matter, right? So that the Gen Z is able to pick it up, the advertising population you're speaking to is able to take that. Look at Nike ads, look at Adidas ads. They're all going for emotions, It's the emotion, it's not the product anymore. So how are you thinking of communicating that ESG factor in your content, if it is for your clients?
Okay, so when you're looking at it in terms of, yes, Gen Z want to associate themselves with things that are changing the world, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest things that we try to do is not to create ads, but to create acts.
Create?
Acts.
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 Okay.
It's like, and I think this is not just us. Like I need to give this credit to all the communication agencies. I think we're all in the same path in that sense. This is where also I think sometimes there needs to be clarity or a purpose in what we're doing. For example, today a lot of the major generation, actually not just today, all of us today, when we look at our content pieces, right, we're not just limited by what we see, right? So obviously we're going to consuming content on it. Can I just benchmark whatever the US is doing or whatever the China is doing or whatever the Russia is doing to what we're doing? It's a yes and no. Yes, there are some markets that have moved forward and there's some markets that are still emerging in that sense, right? But if we were to take into opportunity, like for example, if you were to have a billboard that maybe in certain environment, that billboard powers the temple next door, or that billboard powers the school next door, you then get to see the kind of effect that you are changing, right? I think a couple of years ago, I think it was LB, that did the replantable ang pao packets, right? Which was brilliant, right? Because that's actually one of the huge waste. But it was brought down to a really nice personal format whereby I can make a change because I'm going to take out the money and throw this packet anyway, right? I can throw it in sand somewhere. It'll end up becoming a, you know? So it's things that you can see is what we need to do, and things that you can see here, things that you can see around you. Today, for us, the biggest challenge, and I really want to, I cannot emphasize this enough, is that when we talk about ESG, it's talked at a very broad level and a very academic level sometimes, or at a very scientific level, or at a very governmental level, or very NGO level that to some point, they're going to die soon, right? Before the planet dies, I'll be dead. So never mind, you know. I will do my best for now and then move on, right? Really, it's the same problem with KWSP. Why are people not saving KWSP? Why do they want their money now? No, why? It's a real question. Why are Malaysians asking for the government to release that money so that they can be spent now, when actually you should be thinking about saving for your future? Because it's too far away. We're not giving them reason enough to be able to see it. I applaud whatever that we're doing here, because everything that we're doing here is now currently sitting at a corporate level. It's sitting at a regulatory level. It's sitting at things that you can report to your government, to the organizations, to whatever, and to the shareholders. And carbon credit, for me personally, I'm not very smart or clever. I think it's one of the biggest con jobs of all time, right? Carbon credits is a con job for me. I mean, yeah, I buy some carbon credit here to offset all the crap that I'm doing here, right? So it's really that. I think we need to separate it from whichever positions they are, the layers that they are, and go back to, if I'm going to affect change, what am I demonstrating to affect that change?
Now, if I can add to that, actually, relating back to out of home, right? Few years back, we were all using floodlight, which is metal hydride. Electric bill is about 1,500 ringgit. Example, yeah? Now, we have, without realizing, we have upgraded to LED lights. LED light, electric bill is 500 ringgit. So you see, and metal hydride lights need time to actually warm up and give you the brightness. LED light gives you brightness immediately. And the heat generated by metal hydride is high, versus LED is low power, low heat usage. And on top of that, when this reduction is actually given to us, we actually give it back to the advertisers. We give them the, I mean, it's getting cheaper to advertise.
Are they getting to know then, like when CIMB Bank or anybody else is doing advertising at the airport, are they getting to know that it is cheaper because you have put in the infrastructure and it's greener or anything, or are they just getting to know because from a vinyl they've moved to a digital, that's why it's cheaper? That's also the question to ask, right?
As I said, it goes unnoticed. You know, we just do it, right? So again, it's a lot of...
Like there was a slide, right? Communication is the challenge. Probably how we're communicating it back also needs to be...
How we're educating them, and you know, how people...
So Naveen, having heard from all these, what are the changes that you would expect from the industry with all the stakeholders?
Well, let's go back to the Gen Z, since they got forgotten.
Yeah.
Okay, now...
Listening very carefully, yeah? They're all logged in also.
Okay, now, here's the thing with the Gen Zs, right? For those who were in advertising long enough, we were stuck trying to figure out the millennials. What happened to that? Nobody figured them out, right? So the Gen Zs, same scenario. With every generation, what will happen is there will be a separation from the norm. So whatever is driving them today may not be driving them tomorrow, depending on responsibilities, depending on their positions in life, and depending on a whole other bunch of variables. So you cannot pool them all into a generation's perspective, because half the flower power kids went out to make the computers we're using today, right? They were smoking weed. What before that? You know, that's the reality of it. We thought that whole generation was a lost generation. It wasn't, right? So do not put them into boxes. They do not belong in boxes. Today, they may be worried about the ecosystem and everything else. They may be making decisions on that. Although we did a campaign recently with some final year students, and everyone had blind boxes in every campaign. So clearly, blind boxes are here to stay. But the very fact of the matter is, yes, they're driving them today, but tomorrow when they have kids, when they have rental to pay and their father's not around to pay the bill, then how? Will sustainability bill still be affected? But it will still be a problem for all of us. You know, so like Stanley said, right, the idea is to make it nuanced enough to matter to everybody, not just a tick on the box, which is what's happening today. Okay, everything here seems to be a tick on the box. Now, if it's not regulatory required, therefore I don't need to. That is the scenario. You know?
Closing statements from you, Omar, from all the takes.
Okay, I hear a few interesting remarks like a billboard that powers a temple, that climate change is not a tick box exercise. Now, what we need to appeal to the wider mass is that we need to have a certain consistent communication, like the light box that's powering the temple and all that, and many more examples can be summed up into what is called the 3 Ps. We've all heard in marketing about the 4 Ps, but in climate change, in sustainability, 3 Ps is about people, planet, and profit. So you cannot dismember or dissect them apart. These three has to coexist: people, planet, and profit. Otherwise, you can't. And the main narrative that we need to translate even to our children is that you can do well by doing good. If we could consistently do that, yeah, you can do well by doing good. Now, what is powering the 3 Ps? Underneath the 3 P is what? There's a 4th P. It's called purpose. Somebody mentioned that just now. Okay? So, brands today, even us, human beings, we are all brands by our own rights. We need to have a purpose. What is our brand purpose? And it goes beyond dollars and cents. Somebody talked about shareholder. Today, we talk about stakeholders. We are all stakeholders in this world. So that is my summary. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
if we can do well by doing good, that is my sum up.
Brilliant.
Please don't get us wrong. We are for a greener planet. We appreciated. We appreciate. Yeah. We're going to get burned in the stake, later. We appreciate the results of what this. And I have to say, I think this is such a good opportunity for all of us to talk about it and to
Exactly. Spend enough Friday afternoon and then discuss. Definitely.
Yeah.
There's a reason why all of you were brought in together here, right? We needed that sort of a stimulating discussion. It's a reality. I think honesty is the best policy to go with, and I think Omar summed it up very well. Let's follow the 3 Ps and try and get the 4th P aligned. We need alignment on the 4th P, so that's it. Well done, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, everyone. I should have opened it to the, wait. I have to open it to the audience. I forgot that protocol. Any questions from the audience? Such an esteemed. Sai, ask a question. You're always, yes. No, I don't need that. No, you do, boss. You do.
No, I was wondering in our mission to bring forth ESG, why can't we use the billboards, the digital billboards, probably in a better way, where the spare capacity is used to drive the movement of this cause? I mean, because that might be a more efficient opportunity. There are probably 1,300 outdoor screens, including the vertical panels. And the reach is 95% of market centers. So we can use the capacity and get brands to maybe fund that capacity, but that money goes to the cause. And media owners donate the space. And creative agencies come up with a strategy, and we move the purpose. I think we will be helping the purpose a lot more than trying to figure out how to make this board green.
Okay, I got one for you. Mandy brought the fact about measurement of how effective we are, right? In terms of measuring sustainability and everything else, right? So what would be the discharge of using those sites to run this cause?
No,
No, if they run empty,
no,
there's no cost.
we're looking at sites that are already running.
No. If it has
they're
no
running-
creative, it is running blank at no cost. That's how you need to measure from baseline. baseline is
There's
off.
no incremental cost for driving this purpose.
No, but if it is running blank, there's no cost. If you will fire it up with visual, there is cost.
Not for out of home.
Okay.
Digital out of
Okay.
home is running anyway, whether there's 1 ad or 12 ads. Or
What
20.
he's saying
No.
is if you turn it off.
Yeah, so if you turn it
cut off the power.
you need to start from the baseline of that ad itself running.
But that is not a practical starting.
No, what if your campaign was switch it off?
Oh,
Flip it the other way around.
that's so cool.
Correct.
Earth Day,
Oh,
Earth Day.
but, you
Thinking
know,
out of the box.
Yeah, so
No,
XYZ brand just played to switch that screen off.
I love it. I love it. But
So somebody has to pay the bill lah.
no.
Back to square one.
But your opportunity cost of having a board off is practically more, it's too expensive. Because if I'm going to go to Laguna and say, Machan, I got an idea. You know, I got an idea. I thought about it last night. I got an idea. Switch your
We
boards.
don't think about it last night, lah. Well, at least few months, lah. You know, strategy.
58 boards, switch it off. He will say, this is the number for Tanjong.
Yeah, no, but
because
let's
the
not
No,
opportunity-
but you're equating it back to dollars and cents. Now I'm going back to equating to the energy lost. So, yeah.
I think this is for the next group. the next panel is going to talk about digital screens. Please don't preempt.
Switching off is very impactful, and maybe it can be done just for a day. And that's a good hybrid idea. Well done, nice idea.
24th March is when we celebrate Earth Hour.
Correct.
So, as a very basic level.
Powerful idea for the 24th of March.
It's done. It's already done. Now we need to do it and all. Yeah. Yeah.
See, what Sai is saying and what you're saying are very similar, right? One
Sunny,
is to
get ready.
basically make it into a initiative that people pay attention to suddenly, and that kind of sticks and transforms into an action. The other is basically today most asset owners run house ads when there is no marketers advertising. So instead of just running I am so and so, advertise here, you deliver a environmental message or a purpose-driven message, which kind of can also be monetized at a very subsidized level through co-sponsorships, etc. So it's an opportunity. If I can just make a couple of thoughts. It was mentioned by the panelists as well, is when is it most impactful? When there is regulation. And then there is, the hierarchy is when the state legislates something that has the most impactful transformation. Then in that context, Malaysia has been blessed with the right kind of associations. Not many countries have the associations that we have. Now, in a way, we can actually then drive some policy changes through how association organizes itself on saying what are the 4 or 5 things that we need to do as we build the asset, run the asset, and get advertisers to be part of that asset. And that itself creates national pride globally to say we are the first in the world to create something which legislates street furniture to be also environmentally sustainable. So it's an opportunity from that perspective.
Perfect.
I just want to jump on. Sorry, I just want to jump on what he said. Right, that's also one of the core reasons that for me, Earth Hour, I didn't end up believing in it because I turn off now. Fine, everybody reduces then, and then after that I go back to my life like normal, right? Which then goes back to. That's where I think the opportunity actually is, right? And I still want to go back to that out of home powering the temple next door. Imagine if that's what we do, because one of the core things that you also say, right, it's constantly running anyway. And in our country, which is hot like crazy, I'm quite sure we can collect more, right? So if that for me then becomes the most sustainable bit, because you're reducing usage of power, like that is generated differently to sustain a longer growth. I think that is the kind of conversations we should be having, instead of, which is also the fault of advertising by itself, which is whereby sometimes it's just about one-off initiative. I can put a badge on my Facebook profile and say, yeah, I ticked off. Me too, yeah, I ticked off. Or do a TikTok dance and say, yeah, I've done Earth Hour kind of thing.
one quick question related to the Gen Z. So we were talking about the transition, right? I remember you telling, right, the priorities for Gen Zs really do change over a period of time. So, I will take an example, like example of Facebook, right? The Facebook actually ended up acquiring Instagram and other medias because the usage pattern in social media actually changed. The Gen Zs also kept changing. I mean, the people who were Gen Zs in 2020s, in 2000s are not Gen Zs anymore right now, right? So because it's an age category. And the question is like, there has been a major transformation in terms of social media, where the attention span of the people has been changing, and the targeting has been more specific. There has been a lot of transformation happening in social media. So what are the game changer transformation in DOH, and how do you see, is there anything that can be targeted specifically for catering a similar example to social media?
Who's going to take this? Has to be... Yeah, actually this is for the next panel, right? Yeah, can we take it because that's a digital panel? Yeah, we just did it. So look at them, they're all excited. But I would want Stanley to take this. I'll also get back to you. So come. So anyway, so let's give it to the next panel. Guys, give it to the guys. Yeah. Thank you very much. But we'll take your question. Yeah? Enam, you have to take the question.
Yeah, we'll take the question. We'll absolutely take the question.
Thank you once again to Mandy and our panelists for such an engaging and thought-provoking sessions as well. I'm sure all of you are very much excited for the next